Hey guys, I'm Amy and I've been accepted to 2 house sits back to back, and I'm going to show you how you can do the same. I'll also explain how you can get your profile set up in a way that's attractive to homeowners on Trusted House Sitters and similar websites. If you're new here, I travel full time and I'm currently doing a house sit in the south of Wales. Alright, so before we get into how to lock down house sits, let's explore what house sits are and what the requirements are for the homeowner and for the house sitter, as well as the many benefits. So house sitting, as you can imagine, is when you're watching someone's house and or pets for a few days or a few weeks or even sometimes a few months. This usually happens when the homeowner is going on vacation or has a work trip and needs someone to watch their pets. Sometimes you might be required to water a few plants or do some household chores, but generally you're just expected to provide animal care. The main benefit for homeowners is that they don't have to worry about putting their dog or cats in a kennel, and they actually have someone watching them, as well as taking care of their house and making sure no burglaries or anything like that happens. And for house sitters on the other side of the spectrum, they get to enjoy a house to themselves, free accommodation if you're traveling, and getting to spend time with animals, which to me is the biggest win because as someone who's always traveling, I don't have time to go see my pets back in Canada and I miss them, so it's really nice to be around dogs and cats. So you can use a few different platforms when looking for house sits or pet sits, but I have only used Trusted House Sitters. I've also done a few word of mouth house sits, pet sits, just with friends and people that I know, but the other ones I just got are only from Trusted House Sitters. So on this platform, the homeowner and the house sitter pay an annual fee, and then you both set up a profile. I'll show you how to set up the profile later, so just wait for that. The platform is super easy to use. You can filter by dates that you're available, countries that you want to visit, as well as the duration of the house sit. And you can also filter it by which animals that you want to look after. So for example, if you're scared of dogs, you can filter it by cats only. You can sign up super easily with your email to get a free account where you can browse the different sits in your area or all over the world. And then when you want to actually message someone, you have to pay the annual fee. So once you message someone, then you can arrange the sit and they can either send out an invitation for you to house sit or they will decline you. Setting up your profile is crucial and it will make or break your chances of landing a house sit. So you start out with your basic details, what you do for work, and whether or not you're going to be sitting alone or with a partner, family, or friend. Then you can add a profile photo of yourself, which I would recommend doing one that is a close-up of your face, and you can add 10 images with pets. So take all the time to fill in these photos, make sure you have 10 images that are either you with pets and a mixture of that with also just pet photos. So for myself, I put images of me with some dogs and cats and also of just my cats at home, as well as some animals that I've come across during my travels, so some gorillas when I was gorilla trekking, and I was able to fill out a caption where you show or explain exactly what the image is, so if it's your pet, if it's someone else's pet, and what your relation is to them. Below that, you put where you're based. I just put my home city, Toronto, because I'm moving around all the time and just left it as that. After that, it's an introduction, which is a paragraph about yourself. I like to explain what I do for work, how old I am, where I'm from, and what I'm hoping to do. So why I'm in that city or that place and why I want to visit. And then below that, you explain why you want to house sit. This gives owners a good idea of how willing you are to put in effort to actually care for their pets while they're away and be responsible and take care of their homes. Then you have a headline. I like to make it short and sweet, and you link your Airbnb and your LinkedIn to show that you're verified and that you're a real person that won't destroy their home. Next is your experience section, where you can write out your experience with pets, which types of pets, and for how long you've had experience. So if you've had experience with pets for over 10 years, which is what I put, that just means that you grew up with pets. So if you grew up with a pet, you can put 10 plus years of experience if you were caring for them. I explained how I grew up with pets, well, with cats, and how I always loved watching friends' dogs and taking care of them when they were away. And that gave homeowners a good idea that I could also handle the responsibility of a dog, even though I didn't grow up with them. Then you mention the pets that you've looked after in the past, which is super easy. And at the very bottom of the page, you can add a profile for your pet. So you can put the name and the breed of that cat or dog if you know it. The preferences section will show where in the world you want to do house sits so that homeowners can see that. I just set mine to anywhere and I select the types of landscapes I'm most interested in. Then you have to verify your phone number, your email, and your ID. This is just to make sure that the homeowners know you are a good person who is not going to leave their house completely destroyed when they get back from a trip. Of course, this doesn't really do that much, but having ID protection is a good thing. Another super important part of this profile is adding a reference. I had cat sit for a friend for only 2 nights and I used her as a reference because I needed one, and I forgot that I actually did this cat sit before. So it came in handy to have that experience. And if you don't have it, ask a friend or family member if you can watch their pet and get a reference from them. I think this really helped me land the sits I did immediately without having any reviews on the platform, so I'd highly recommend that you try to do that. And finally, you add your emergency contact info and your phone number. So finding opportunities is the fun part. You can browse through and look through any country or city that has house sits available and see if you want to do them. So set the filters depending on the dates that you're available, where you want to go, and the types of animals that you want to look after. Also, when browsing through profiles, I scroll down and make sure that they are accessible by public transport because that is the most important to me since I don't have a car. Sometimes the homeowners will offer to pick you up from a train station or maybe even the airport, which is great, but you can't rely on that. So you can send them a message and ask when you are discussing things. One tip is to apply immediately when you see a sit that you like. This is because sits can go really quickly depending on the country or city that you're looking in because it's high in demand. So if you see one, send a message right away so you don't miss your opportunity. To make sending these messages to different homeowners easier, I've drafted up a kind of copy and paste message on my notes app, and I don't just copy paste, I always change out the homeowners' names, the pets' names, and a few little details to personalize it to that specific homeowner so it's not just a cut and paste. This allows you to send out many messages to many different house sits and have a higher chance of being approved for one without spending too much time on the application process. When people start replying to you, make sure your response time is good because that way they will see you as very good at communicating and you'll have a higher chance of being approved. I had a great response rate and we're sending out really good intro messages, and that allowed me to get accepted to many house sits. Lots of people were inviting me to sit, but the dates overlapped, so if it had worked out that I was available for the entire month, I would be able to do many different house sits. And once again, I had no review, so I'm not sure if it's just a case of me being lucky or having the right message and being authentic and showing them that I wanted to house sit. It could also be the fact that I'm in the UK right now and it is approaching winter, so people are trying to get out and go on a quick little trip somewhere warm. So I might have lucked out in that regard. So thinking about the different seasons is also important depending on the country that you're applying for. Another thing to note about my intro message is to always, at the end, suggest a video call. And I'm not saying that this is going to happen every single time that you are messaging a homeowner, because this sit that I'm at currently and the one I'm going to next week, both didn't request a video call. It was all through the app/website. So it's good to offer just so that if they have questions, you can have a quick video call and answer anything for them. I had a few video calls and I've also canceled a few video calls once I've accepted sits for someone else. So it's kind of like 50-50. Sometimes they want to talk to you on video call, but sometimes they don't. So if you are setting up a video call, make sure you have a few questions ahead of time so that you don't forget to ask them. For me, I usually don't have that much to consider except for Wi-Fi because I'm working remotely and I need to have good access to the internet. Other than that, typically the homeowner will take the lead and they'll ask you questions about your experience, but usually just about your dates and if you're able to come to where they're located and all of those little things, and they'll explain what's needed for their pet. It's important that the homeowner also has good communication because you want to know that if something happens with the pet, you're able to contact them and they will get back to you quickly. If you choose to do a house sit, the number one thing you have to remember is that you're responsible for this house and for the pets. You should be willing to take it seriously and really care for this house and pets like they're your own. So that means always locking up the house and keeping an eye on the pets throughout the day if you haven't seen them around for a while, which happens a lot with cats. I just like to always take a little wander around the house and make sure that they're around. You should also be sending updates to the homeowners to let them know that the house and pets are okay. And I do this usually like once a day, depending on if there's actually something I need to ask about, but it will really depend on the homeowners. Sometimes they'll want to talk to you many times throughout the day and ask how things are going, and sometimes they'll be more relaxed and not really need that many updates. You should also take the opportunity to get to know the area that you're house sitting in. So because I'm in the south of Wales right now, I am taking walks with the dog, exploring, going to the beach, and really getting to know the area. And it really shouldn't feel like a full-time job. It should just feel like taking care of your own pets and having time to spend with these cute animals. If you have any questions about house sitting and Trusted House Sitters specifically, leave them in the comments and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. And if you want to give Trusted House Sitters a try, then you can use my code SPELLBOUND25 for 25% off all new memberships. So that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching it all the way to the end of the video. I will be back next week with a new house sitting video, so stay tuned for that. I'll see you there. Bye.